What's up, guys?
I seen Ron disappear. I thought he heard us talking about labs today, so he was going to vacate. He stepped out and left.
That's why Nick didn't show up.
I went out to get a newspaper, see if I could find a litter for sale. But cool.
You found two of them. $400 for both litters?
Yeah, they were flushing labs.
Flushing labs. What is that?
It's something old school.
It is.
It's such a contrarian. Now Doug is saying scene. Why are they making fun of me already?
I don't know. It's because you were so sassy last week. They're all trying to make fun of you now.
Yep. I'm over them all. I'm going to block them all. You guys are all 86. So you guys will notice that Nick is not here either. Nick's wife told him he could not come out and play. Yeah, he's hiding somewhere.
Yeah, he said he might try to show up for hour 2, but he said he wouldn't hold his breath. I'm guessing, just guessing. He probably has some sort of a honey-do list to do, and hunting season's getting close. You don't want to piss the women off this time of the year.
No, I agree.
Puppy at home.
That too. I got 2 of those. Come on now.
You don't.
Well, I mean, as of this morning, Corey's got 10 puppies at home. He just whelped a litter of 10 puppies this morning.
Went to bed at 5:30 this morning.
Jesus.
Last time I did that, I was driving.
So you went to bed at 5:30 in the morning, or you whelped puppies?
Well, I whelped puppies until 5:30. That last one came out about 5:15 and got it breathing and cleaned up, and
that was it.
Big litter? Big litter?
10.
That's a big litter.
Yeah.
What time did you start?
9. I can't remember what that was. 9:30, something like that. She did not have one in the 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock hour.
No way.
Right up to it, and then right after it. So that was a boring gap in the night. But all is well. All the puppies are doing pretty good. Maybe we'll have a little show and tell in a little bit, and we can bring what does that put us at? 14-hour-old puppy on.
That's certainly one of the bingo squares. Anytime you show a dog on camera, they got a drink. So
I mean, show them individually.
Coffee.
Look who's home. That's my baby.
She looks very happy.
I'm back. I'm back in the kennel. I'm so happy. Can I have that?
Is she potty trained yet? I mean, she's 2.
Can I have that?
No.
Well, you know what? You go play with the big dogs. Go.
Is it something about letting them? Yeah. Well, you just said on your podcast the other day you can let them win, so I suppose that's fine.
Rock guy, that is 100% true. My wife heard that there might be crane calling, and then she heard me trying to practice with it earlier, and I've been.
It was not good. He was trying to do it with me on the phone. It sounded like some sort of a drunk stork.
I was going to introduce Corey.
Oh, yeah.
We do that.
Doug, do it up, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So Cory is the owner of DRC, or Death Row Calls, as it was known back in the early 2000s.
Way back when.
It is way back when. So he said it's been, 10 years?
I suppose,
10 years. But so he is a call maker for many years, but he's going to deep dive into a little bit of Crane 101. So I'll just kind of kick it over to you, and you kind of tell everybody a little bit about yourself and kind of your roots coming up, and we can kind of go on from there.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for the intro. Good to meet you guys, and big shout out to all the H3 D-gens out there who are following along with Little Bingo tonight.
Yeah,
so, were we supposed to or not supposed to say Ribeye of the Sky? What was that? Yes,
I think
no?
Ribeye of the Sky is supposed to be.
Ribeye of the Sky was good. We should say Ribeye of the Sky.
Yeah, we're not going to call them by their given name.
It's Tuesday, so everybody's very thirsty. So Ribeye of the Sky is
Ribeye of the Sky. Okay.
Yeah.
So, my name is Cory Loeffler. I live in, I call it the tundra, but it's the northwest corner of Minnesota. Thief River Falls, Red Lake Falls area, and it's kind of where I was born and raised and cut my teeth in waterfowl hunting. Mostly goose hunting, a little bit of duck hunting, but yeah, I mean, as far as calling birds and hunting, communicating with birds, I would take goose hunting, and now newfound crane hunting over duck hunting. 20-1 if you were, talking to my 16-year-old self. I didn't have any time for chasing ducks just because they just go quack and didn't really do anything for me. down south, when you're hunting ducks a little bit closer to breeding season, then that's totally different story. They're a totally different bird. But northern Minnesota, flip on the spinner and here they come, whatever. Yeah. So honkers are fun. That's my bread and butter. You can communicate with them. I can go right back to when I was, I don't know, I wasn't driving to the field. I was probably 14 or 15 years old, hammering away on those old flute calls and just making ungodly noises, or who knows what the heck was coming out of there, but actually seeing a response from those birds and just kind of more like dumbfounded that it worked.
Sometimes a bad response. I've blown those calls. I've seen them just, nope. That way.
But yeah, that's kind of where I got my start. And then as time progressed, I thought I was really a good goose caller, and I was practicing a lot. And then the guys that we were hunting with, they were some older guys that were, kind of like my parents' age. And they said, you should probably leave that call in the truck this morning. So that was kind of a kick in the nuts. And so then I just took it upon myself to practice more. And then the year later, they kind of, put me on that top spot and said, all right, Cory will be doing the calling today. So that was kind of like winning my own world championship, if you will, just getting the approval from the group as a young little buck hunting with a bunch of older guys. So that was then. And then that turned into contest calling, and I traveled all over the place, blowing in goose calling contests. Oh man, everywhere. Put way too many miles and hours on the car. And then created the business. I really couldn't find a goose call out there that I liked blowing and that worked for me. So I just went ahead and designed one. And then that's kind of where it all started. And then we came out with a few different models and had a lot of guys help me. Tons of people, family and friends helped me along the way, and everyone's been super influential on the success of the business. And here we are, we're still doing it now, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. Kind of keeps the waterfowl season going on 12 months out of the year. There's no off season at all, and I really couldn't live without it. So it's not like some people say, oh, it's a passion. Oh, I really like doing it. It's a cool hobby. It's an obsession, whatever. But for me, it's life. Life. I can't live without it. I mean, it's, there's nothing else.
They have support groups for people like you,
Yeah, it's in the woods. Go find them. I've been looking for them for a long time.
Well, the meetings aren't real regular, but,
and it moves around a lot depending on what time of the year it is. It can be different states and from day to day. Just as kind of a little quick aside, I will tell you right now that 2 or 3 of the drunkest times of my life ever were at Red Lake Falls. I went to college in Fargo, and that was a party spot in the summertime.
Yep. Oh, Voyager's View. Yep.
Yeah. If anybody,
coming from a drunk like you, that says a lot.
There are pictures out there somewhere. There's probably a video. Who knows? But we'll just say that I probably can't run for any kind of elected office because they'll surface.
Well, I'm glad you didn't die in the river. That happens quite frequently.
Very well could have. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
I remember one time I walked down to the river just to take a pee, and I just
that happens
right in there. Yeah. It'll wake you up a little bit.
Needed a shower.
That part of Minnesota. Are you hunting a lot of the birds that come off the red then, or do you guys have a pretty good resident population that kind of sits there late into the year? Yeah,
the red is just we've got the Red Lake River, which flows into the red. So the birds are coming off of there and using that as a roost. But the red itself is too far away to get any type of honker traffic over here. That's 40 miles or something like that. Yeah. So we will get our biggest migration early, the molt migrators, and that might be a little bit of a goofy term for some of the viewers out here, but what happens with all of the resident birds across the lower 48 in the United States, all of those resident birds, once they hatch out a litter or a brood of them, they will that year and the year after. So when those birds are 1 year old and 2 years old, they actually go all the way up into Canada, up into the tundra or into the subarctic, and they'll just molt. They'll lose all their feathers up there, and then they come back down to meet up with mom and dad, who might be in Minnesota, Missouri, Kansas, wherever they're at. And my backyard is just this giant natural funnel for all those birds, because we've got I'm on the seam between the pine forests to the east, which run all the way out to Michigan and all the way out to out to the Atlantic. And then we've got the crop fields and the grain fields that run all the way to your back of the back door there, Tyler. So
Sure.
we're kind of right on that seam there. So any bird that's traveling from the Arctic, subarctic area regions in the tundra, Hudson Bay, wherever they happen to be, when they're coming through, they're kind of pinch pointing this big, huge natural funnel pretty much right in my backyard. And then they might disperse out to the east to go to Chicago, to go to Missouri,
Sure.
wherever mom and dad are. So all of those birds, it's kind of a perfect storm, because it's a whole bunch of 1 and 2 year old birds. So they're pretty green, and they come through right in September when the limit's 5 birds. So it makes for some pretty good hunting.
I want, if any of us ever accidentally say Canadian geese, Ron will lose his absolute shit. So
don't do it.
I just want to.
I will too.
This show will be over, right, Cory?
Yeah, I'm with you.
I mean, unless they came through the customs office with a passport, they're not.
Every time I fuck that up on a podcast, he will call me every single time.
I get phone calls from guys like, "Oh yeah, I just love hunting Canadians." I'm like, "Geez, that's kind of illegal. You shouldn't be talking about that. This line might be tapped."
This is a hot line.
Yeah. Smoke signals only. So that's kind of when we get our biggest migration, is that September season, and then that kind of is shutting down, and then the crane season, the ribeye of the sky season opens up, and then we're running that thing in through duck season into the middle of October. And honestly, a lot of our birds, the birds that kind of used to naturally migrate through the area, they all hold up north, like pretty much in Winnipeg in that area, and then they just blast right through to pretty much Fergus Falls.
That's the sanctuary city. There's a lot of homeless people up there too.
Feeding them bread, I suppose. Yeah. Or I don't know. Maybe it goes both ways. They feed them one day, and then the geese feed them the next. Get over here.
You know what? Teach a goose to make bread, and he'll feed himself the rest of his life.
All right.
Give him bread.
He's just gonna shit. He's just gonna shit on your lawn.
There you go. There's a lesson in there somewhere. I can't remember what it is.
Oh gosh.
Apparently, our buddy Wes Larrabee is sitting at a bar in Wyoming right now, and he's playing along with the bingo game, and people are starting to wonder what the hell he's doing. But just tell him they should put it up on the big screen, man. What are you doing?
What the hell is that?
I had a hankering for something tastier than a Miller Lite.
Oh boy!
So you chose that?
Yeah. God, Doug's sassy the last couple of weeks. I don't know what happened to him when we took that off week, Ron. I tell you.
I don't know. There we go.
What so with the cranes, what, like, our season over here opens up. I'm not going to say the state. Well, everybody knows, but it opens up on the 12th. It opens up on the 12th of September. Do you guys see a pretty good push coming down that early over in your guys' direction? Because we don't usually see them until like the end of September.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see all the resident birds, the graders, the big cranes that nest around here, the local residents, I guess. But I just got off the phone here probably about an hour ago with my good buddy Greg Knutson, and he works at he's a refuge manager at Rydell National Wildlife Refuge. I do believe that's his title, but he did a pile of crane research when he was going to school, and I got the rundown of all the different species and kind of what they're doing different times of year. But anything over to the west of Minnesota is that mid-continent population, and their migrations are pretty much straight north to south. So they might nest not much in North Dakota. You won't see too many resident
I've
birds
never
over there.
seen any nesters over here.
Yeah.
Ever.
So that mid-continent population's a really impressive migrator. They're putting on a ton of miles, and they might nest in Siberia. I mean, they're probably coming from over in Russia and all across the Arctic, or not probably the subarctic, and then over into Ontario, and they're just migrating straight through North Dakota, and then I think that mid-continent population just runs down into, say, like the panhandle of Texas,
Right.
and Lubbock area and stuff like that, and I've hunted them down there. What's that?
Ron has too.
Ron, okay, yeah. So yeah, they're down there. And then in Minnesota, we have the graders over here, and they seem like they're twice as big as the mid-continent birds. And then they're the locals that we have growing up over here, and then we'll get some migration of some mid-continent birds coming over, pushing over from the Dakotas, and then we'll shoot some of those, and then we'll shoot some of our resident birds that we have here. But the season, Minnesota's a goofy state for crane hunting because we can only shoot them up in this northwest corner of the state, and it's a good state. I mean, we can, the harvest is good, plentiful, and birds aren't too. I mean, they're pretty easy to come by, so
Sure.
that's good. But they don't want us shooting too many of the resident birds. They want to push the season back so that we get some of the migrants in here, the mid-continent birds, and trickling in through our area here in the northwest corner, and then it just kind of evens out the harvest a little bit, so we're not taking too many of the big ones.
So first of all, 17 minutes in, didn't know any of that shit about I thought that the mid-continents were probably the same birds you guys are shooting. I had no idea that you guys are.
We can. Yep.
I had no idea that you guys are so. I doubt I've ever shot a greater then, because I've only ever shot them here.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen them in Arizona, but I think they have some of both of the. I know they have that. That's kind of on that western or the eastern edge of the Pacific Flyway or whatever over there.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But Jesus, how much bigger are the graders compared to the ones I'm shooting here? Are they really that much bigger?
Yeah, when I went down to Lubbock, I didn't know exactly what those guys were shooting down there and hunting with them, and they had explained to me totally different hunting practices. That, I mean, there's no way in hell they're going to work up here in Minnesota shooting these graders. So I made these trailer blinds. They're kind of a pretty cool little hunting thing. Well, I don't know, we'll get to see them sometime here, but those guys down in Lubbock at Tejas Waterfowl, they were running one of these trailer blinds, and they said, yeah, we've got 4 dozen decoys. We put it out in front of the trailer blind and a crane feed, and here they come, feet down, 10 yards, no problem. Wow. Like limits every day, not a big deal. And I said, that's crazy that those cranes are landing and will decoy right into that trailer blind. I mean, the thing is 35 feet long and 5 feet tall, out in the middle of the field, stuffed full of tumbleweed, and yeah, no problem. Cranes come right into them. So I said, I don't know. I'd be surprised to see this, because we'll put one of the trailer blinds out here and hunt honkers out of it. Honkers will do it, no problem. Cranes coming off of anywhere, the refuge or what have you, they see that trailer blind, and I'm not kidding. They'll put a horseshoe in their flight path. They'll be heading straight to you, and they'll just go around a half mile. I mean, they won't come within 600-800 yards of that thing. Not a chance. So go ahead. Yeah, just the graders, hunting the graders and the lessers or the mid-continents, totally different ball game, and much more successful hunting the mid-continent birds.
Sure. Well, I got a lot of questions for you about that, but Troy Miller down here on the bottom of the screen's got a pretty good question. This is one that comes up a lot whenever I talk about hunting cranes. It's what kind of precautionary measures do you take with your dogs you use on crane hunts?
Yeah.
I've heard the statistic. I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm not a scientist, so I'll just say it is. That a crane's beak can actually it can pierce a skull of a raccoon. So I mean, it can fracture a skull. Everybody's heard about them going at the eyes. I've personally had them stand up and flare their wings out when they're got a wing knocked off of them, and they get like literally in the crane pose, and you got to whack them with your shotgun barrel or shoot them again.
Yeah.
So like it looks like Ron on a Saturday night in a strip club. He's all buffed up
with less dollar bills, but
dollar bills back in the day.
So I do not bring a unsteady dog. It's way too risky to have gunfire go off, cranes come down, and dog just takes off.
Sure.
You do not want to send your dog on any crane if it's not wearing rec specs. A lot of guys, a few buddies of mine have some rec specs for their dogs, those protective ski goggles that the dogs wear. Those guys are sending their dogs on pretty much everything, and cripples, no big deal. And I've seen a lot of pictures because the Hunter Pickett, one guy that I know, who has photographed, he hunts cranes a lot. And
solid name, by the way. That's a good name.
Yeah, he's got one of my crane calls and hunts cranes real hardcore down in Texas. And his dog wears those things, and he's a good photographer as well. And I've seen a lot of pictures of his dog bringing cranes back, and the crane's beak's right there where the dog's eyes are. And I was talking to another biologist many years ago. There you go, some rec specs. Biologists said that cranes really don't have any natural predators, just because they're vicious and they've got a freaking beak that's that long, and they'll just whack your eyeballs out. So any dumb coyote that comes strolling in, I don't know what would happen, I guess. But
here's the problem: people don't hunt cranes with German wire hairs. If they
True statement.
I would have took Haskell out as much as I hated him and loved him at the same time. I wouldn't have cared if that crane had boxing gloves on, doing fucking leg strikes. He'd have said, "Come on, watch this." Whap! He'd have grabbed that crane by the neck and said, "How you like that, huh?" Now we're going back to the truck, and Ron's going to bash your head on the tailgate. That dog, I'm telling you what, there isn't a crane in the world that was going to get the best of that dog. Now, put him on crane skull. Am I full of shit? Probably a little bit. But
he's on his here too.
But I would not hunt a crane with a soft mouth average retrieving dog, because they would stop.
And it could probably ruin a dog forever.
They would stop because all of a sudden this bird's standing up. And but I'll tell you what, if I had Haskell or even Zygon, I'd say, go get it. And somebody say, he's going to get his eye poked out. I said, yeah, well, he's got one more. Don't worry about it. So there's no way the crane's going to get both eyes. It's going to be like Lucy Liu, remember, in Kill Bill? You already had the one eye gone. Poof! She put the other eye out. I'm not going to send a one-eyed dog out, but I'll send a wire hair out of it.
And we're muting. No. So
one Stella Artois, and look what he does.
Oh, jeez.
Oh man. Have you ever seen a dog get into a negative situation with a crane, or have you heard that watch a crane? Do you think next specs would hold up to a poke, or?
That question would be, oh boy, I don't know. Probably better answered by someone that runs rec specs. But I'll let my dogs retrieve the cranes if they're down. If they're dead, I know they're dead. Then I'll send a dog on them. Not a problem. But other than that, it's just way too risky for me. I got way too damn much time into these dogs to lose an eye coming back. And I don't think the initial contact isn't going to be a problem, because all my dogs will hit them at 100 miles an hour. It's once they have them, they got no hands. So if a crane's beak is coming at their eyes, well, they can't just block their eyes.
Right.
I think it's when the crane, if the crane has use of its neck and head, it's, even if it's getting brought back by the dog, it's going to be pecking. And I think that's their main source of defense is go for the
It's like-
eyeballs. So
I've had it happen several times where they'll stand up and kind of like even challenge me, and it's just like, okay, bro, here's the deal. Pow! Like right in the head. I just shoot him again, and it's like, what's up now, bitch? And you kind of walk over, pick him up by the legs, and drag him back over and stick him in the pile. But yeah, they're gnarly birds, man. They're like they can be a little bit crazy.
I remember one of the first ones that my brother-in-law Scott shot. He knocked it down. It went down into a CRP field, and he went looking for it. And I mean, it's like waist to chest high CRP.
Right.
It's in the fall, so it's really grown up. And he kind of marked it pretty good. Walked straight for it, and he walked right by that thing. And that son of a bitch just had no legs. I don't think. I mean, he kind of broke the legs, but it lunged up at him and came for him. He jumped back and like shot it as fast as he could and scared the shit out of him.
Oh, geez. Oh,
You know what? This is hang on a minute. This is worthy of a story. This
buckle up, ladies and gents.
That's Stella. Stella!
Hold on.
I had beer for 3 days, and
for most people that's not abnormal, but for Ron that's very abnormal.
Last time I didn't drink a beer, I was getting a colonoscopy the next day, and then the nurse told me any clear liquid would have worked with the juice. All right, it's a true story. If I lose my sponsors over it, it happened many decades ago. But we're out hunting in a western state. I'll leave that vague. Farmer told us we could have permission, but he did not like birds of prey, especially owls. Now, I had nothing to do with the alleged incident that happened over this dry cattail marsh, but my little wire hair named Desi did participate in the fruha. When the large great horned owl was laying on its back, Desi went in for the retrieve, and it latched onto her bottom mandible, and she started going like this, 360 degrees in a circle. It took me about 2 months before that dog would go out and retrieve again. And I did not pull the trigger because I've heard people say that.
Do you remember when you and I were in Wyoming at that raptor rehabilitation center, and that guy said that like me and Ron got to hold a golden eagle,
right?
And he said that owls are the biggest assholes that he has to take care of at that place. He said that a great horned owl has 1,600 feet per second or per inch of pressure in their talons. So that's more than a golden eagle, more than a bald eagle. He said he has to wear a Kevlar glove and a buffalo hide glove to hold a great horned owl.
The great horned owl is like the killingest killing machine. They're like the mountain lions of the air.
Yeah, they're mercenaries. They're assholes. I hate them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hot take right there.
Anyway, so I imagine a dog that got poked once from the if a dog did get poked, I mean, might not hit his eye, but I mean, like if you're like this big happy lab, you're like, what's the matter? Bam! Oh,
you're hunting with the wrong lab. You're doing that.
Oh, and then one on top of the head. Oh, but I mean, if you're a dog half worth your food, come on. The bird weighs 9 pounds tops. Anyway,
that's actually a good question. What do those graders weigh? Because the ones over here weigh 7 to 9 pounds.
They're not much different.
No, I can't remember the last time I put one on a scale, or if I ever have.
I think we might have had a 10-pounder. They're just a bigger, I mean, longer winged, longer
wing, longer leg.
But there's no weight there. There's not a lot of weight. That big, giant, ugly pterodactyl hanging there, you're like, oh. And then you got basically 2 Canada goose breasts out of it. What you get? Yeah. Like
the way I've always described it is, so ribeye of the sky is basically like getting 2 16-pound steaks. Like it really is. It's like you get 2 pounds of meat off of this gigantic freaking bird. 16 ounce. Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah. I think I said that right, didn't I?
No,
maybe not. Whatever. 16 pounds. That is really. If they were 16 pounds on each side of the breast, that's all I would live on.
Pack a lunch, boys. Only thing left is you, me, and the skinning pole. We got some work to do.
Right.
The Google machine says the graders are 10 to 14 pounds.
Jesus, well, that's
So
bigger.
quite a bit bigger.
I did not have a scale either. And of course, I didn't have two. Stuart. Hi, Stuart. 16 pounds? God.
So
They're not 16 pounds.
I think we kind of got a little bit ahead of ourselves. So
We did get a little off
we
track.
get a little
there.
bit of our head. So let's back it up a little bit. So I'd like to talk a little bit kind of, habitat. So, somebody wanting to get into crane hunting, whether it's, and I'm sure North Dakota and obviously Minnesota where you're at, it's going to be different habitat to a point. What type of agriculture are you targeting? What are some things that you're looking to, like what kind of distance to proximity to water? And I know the water that they're going to be, that you're looking for is going to be a lot different than roost water for, other waterfowl. So maybe you just kind of dig a little bit into the different types of habitat that somebody should be out scouting for.
Yeah, the cranes are going to roost in the differences in scouting for cranes versus scouting for honkers is going to be the roost water. A crane is going to, I wish I had that picture. Sorry. Sometimes I have the attention of a squirrel. I have a picture of a bunch of cranes. Cool shot of a bunch of them sitting on the water. It's on my Instagram. Would you want to go run around my Instagram page way down there and try to find it? Yeah, we'll get her. I think I posted it maybe a year ago. But so anyway, cranes are going to gravitate towards water that is, say, like shin deep, knee deep on a crane, something like that. And that's going to differ. You'll find some dabbling ducks in there, but yeah, definitely no divers in water that deep at all. And then honkers, from what I've seen, let's say that the roost contains honkers and ducks and cranes in there. The cranes are all going to be around the outside in the cattails. Like I said, they don't really have any natural predators, so they can be in the tall cattails, and coyote is not going to come sneak up on them. It's not going to matter. So that where the geese don't like to be in tall cattails and stuff like that. They kind of want to be out in the middle of the water more so. But so sometimes the roosts can be the same or similar, and sometimes the roosts will only hold cranes and not hold hardly any ducks or geese. So around here, we've got a couple swamps, sloughs with that perfect cattail depth of water in there with some open spots in there, and that'll pile up. There'd be, I don't know, probably 10,000 crane or something like that in there during peak migration, which usually rolls around the first to third week of October. So yeah, that's kind of what we're looking for, is those marshy cattail sloughs, and that's what cranes are going to use to roost in. And we don't hunt them in the roost at all, because we got to kind of keep our roosts more sacred than not. So we'll hunt them in the feed fields, and then that way they'll keep using that same roost, and then we'll hunt them in the feed fields right around the roost. But as far as feeding, they're pretty much going to feed in the same types of grain that any of your local honkers are going to feed in. So wheat and barley, and then I've seen them land in some chisel plowed field, whatever. It could be a dirt field or something like that, land in there next to a standing cornfield, and then just go down the row and just strip all the corn cobs right off, or the kernels off of the cob in the cornfields. But the cranes are goofy because they got such damn long legs on them, so they'll just land somewhere and they'll just go for a walk. Yeah. It could be. They could end up like 4 miles away from where they landed, and they're just cruising, go up over roads. And
do you find that once you find one of those roost locations like that they're going to be in those spots year after year? Yeah,
absolutely. Around where we're hunting them, it's very traditional spots, and we know where they're going to be every time. It's
over here. It's a shallow alkali flats. Ron's hunted this one spot that we hunt here, and we've been hunting it since the 1970s. We actually hunt
the roost in North Dakota.
I've never had crane decoys till this year. I just ordered my first set of crane decoys.
They roost on the left side, south of the pass, and they're leaving.
Yeah, so it's two long sloughs, and they pinch point together, and on the north side it's very deep hard water or hard bottom full of canvasbacks and divers. You'll occasionally get some mallards and shit. A lot of geese on that side, some swans. But on the south side, it's all cranes, and it's probably, what do you suppose that alkali flat out there is, Ron? Probably 40 acres, 50 acres, something like that. But a really good year, there'll be 20,000 birds on that. Like they'll be completely packed in there. And we have a buddy from Michigan, Paul, who tried to walk across that in a dry year. Don't do that. Do not walk across an alkali flat because it is nasty. He sank up to his waist. I thought, we honestly thought we were going to have to get a helicopter in there to airlift him out. He got out there, he got stuck, he stopped, he smoked a cigarette, and then he like muscled his way out of there. I was like, I don't know if that's the right thing to do at all. But but there's probably a dozen of those shallow flats like that every year. And whenever I'm going to go out scouting for cranes, that's the tour I take. Okay. Like I go and I look at all those. And now this year I just ordered a bunch of dive bomb silhouettes, and I'm looking forward to getting some of the silo socks as well. But you can drive down there and you can see them. We've had them come into goose decoys, but it doesn't happen as often as so I'm looking forward to this fall. Yeah.
The same deal around here. The graders get pretty wise to goose decoys real early into the early season, even without us shooting at them, because our seasons only overlap by 2 days. So our early honker season's just about done before the crane opens up. But after that, you're not going to get cranes coming cruising through any goose decoys at all. So, but I mean, that can bring us into another thing, like your first year of hunting them over decoys. So that'll be fun.
That's kind of where I wanted to go next. Me and Doug talked earlier today when I was out driving around on my mail route. One of the things I've noticed about cranes is that they have the best eyesight of any waterfowl species out there, or migratory, probably any bird out there. It seems like, I mean, like I said, we've had them come into our goose spread before, and it's always early. It's always in like late September, opening weekend, and they're not going to land, but they'll come and pass over you well within shotgun range. And we've had some pretty decent rainouts on some flocks. But I will tell you that if you do get cranes that'll come into range into your goose spread, your blinds are muy bueno hidden, because if there's any kind of an outline of a layout blind in a stubble field or anything like that, the only time we've ever had them come in like that is if we're close to an edge where our blinds are completely concealed. Is that something that you see over there as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We tend to set up pretty different from cranes and ducks and geese, so we typically just hunt one or the other. And I mean, kind of luckily, I guess our seasons don't really overlap, so we don't have to worry about the cranes when we're goose hunting and vice versa. So we'll, just focus on field edges, rock piles, any tree rows, any type of natural terrain that we can use to our advantage in trying to hide from the cranes. But you move an inch and they'll pick you out from 100 yards coming in, and it's pretty impressive how fast that big ass bird can react to any type of movement whatsoever. Like, they can get the heck out of Dodge real fast. So
we got our ass handed to us in Lubbock when we did that show for Meat Eater. I mean, the first day we got out there at like 4 a.m, and Mike Panasci is a graduate student down there working. He's hunted these all over the place, and I'd say he doesn't run a guide service, but he knows what he's doing. And he said, we're going to bring shovels out. We actually made our own shallow graves in these peanut fields.
Yep.
But the problem was, you make a shallow grave and you're still making a visual impression on the ground but we thought we had it dialed in, right? We'd go out and get tumbleweeds and shit, and we're laying there like, nobody can see us. There's like 3 camera guys in their little shallow graves, 4 of us hunting, and if you ever see that episode, we're all laying there like, really? I mean, same thing. Like, oh, you can hear him before you can see him.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, guys. Okay, here it is. Like, I'm like, come on. We weren't moving.
Right.
And they just saw something that wasn't right, you know?
Yeah.
And what Steve did, it never came out in the episode. It was nothing against the law, but he noticed how much they were flaring.
And he went
figured out if he went about 300 yards over to the road, left us out in the middle of the peanut field, right?
That's exactly right.
Like go like this, flaring out. Guess who they flared? They flared like down the 2 rows. Steve sort of boof, boof.
Yeah, you guys lay here. I gotta take this call real quick. I'll be back.
Bitch.
Exactly.
There is certainly something about cranes with that, where if you can find a line that those cranes want to be on, it seems like every flock wants to go exactly over the same exact piece of land. I mean, like you were talking about rock piles, like we've set up layout blinds close to rock piles for mallards and done okay. And we've done it for cranes, and like just trying to get in their flight path, where you literally have a layout blind and you're trying to like run up behind a rock pile and hide before the next flock comes.
Yep.
And actually, I had pretty decent luck doing that. If you're anywhere near a rock pile and you're trying to hunt honkers, I don't know what it is, but it's like, God, they're just so weird.
Yep.
So if you're hunting lines or tree lines or hedge lines or agricultural rows, are you typically using panel blinds then?
It just depends on kind of what the terrain is going to allow. If it's high enough, then we can, if we want to go through the extra effort to brush them in and make them look really good. But honestly, a lot of times it's better to just lay underneath that stuff, lay in amongst it, lay underneath it, because you just go through a lot less work. And I don't know how long it's been. I think it's been the last 4 years or something. In Minnesota, our limit's been 1 bird. So it's like,
really?
Just go out and find a tree to hide behind and whack your 1 bird and, set up a few decoys behind you. So, I mean, for the most part, we'll use some decoys, but with the 1 bird thing, it's been a little bit more of a glorified pass shoot than it has been an actual decoy in your face. But it's just, no one really wants to go through all that extra effort into hiding out in the middle somewhere when you can just curl up next to a bush and whack your 1 and go home. Have some.
Is it still lunch. 1 bag limit? 2
this year. They just bumped it up. So, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
It's Michigan 2 more than Michigan, so I'd still be happy.
Michigan was supposed to get a season, but what's really drives me nuts is farmers can have a depredation permit for them.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think we have a season yet, do we, Doug?
No, I don't see it happening either.
Well, they classify them as songbirds, right? Or something weird like that?
That's mourning doves.
That's mourning doves, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But they talked about a crane season, 1 bird. It never happened. I don't want to knock that out of I'll get a hold of Nick Green from MUCC and find out.
Yeah.
We were supposed to get a 1 bird, I'm not going to go buy decoys and set up, but if you know a farmer, if you know a place,
right.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be happier with a meal than you're going to be happier with that bird.
Mm-hmm. No, it's pretty fantastic.
So
when you do use decoys and call them, I'm assuming you travel a little bit for them, right? Like, you mentioned Texas, but I think like Oklahoma's pretty good too. I've heard. Kansas, I know they smash them in Kansas at certain times of the year. How do those birds, with a bird with that keen of eyesight? I know, like, there's only really a couple of really good crane decoy companies out there. There's Deception, and then Dive Bomb's got the silhouettes.
Yep.
Will they pick those apart pretty well too? Or have you hunted over any? I guess is what I'm asking is, did I waste my money by buying 10 dozen silhouettes?
No, no. I think you'll see a pretty big change in this year. How many can you guys shoot?
3 per person per day.
3, yeah. I thought it was 3, yeah. No, I think you guys are going to see a pretty big change in just honing in where their exact flight path is, because you guys can get to where you kind of thought they probably were yesterday, and we'll go set up kind of somewhere over here and cross our fingers. But yeah, now with throwing 10 dozen decoys out behind you, you're really going to be able to channel those birds a lot better over whatever it is that you found to hide in, and you can pull that flight line a little bit over one way or another to something that is better to hide in. So if this was here's their flight line from yesterday, but there isn't crap to hide here. It's just a gravel road, where if you go pull them over here a couple hundred yards, maybe you got some shrubbery or some bushes or whatever. So
Slough bottom, something.
Yeah, slough bottom. Yeah, absolutely. So I would just run those decoys back behind you, and it could be back behind you as much as 250 yards, 300
sure.
yards.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it's it can be set up however you want to set it up, basically. So if you're in the middle between them and the roost, then yeah, put your decoys way behind you. But their eyesight is just on a freakish level. So
like the number one thing is getting brushed in. Like, I mean, make sure that you're hidden, and then after that, like other than that, then they'll react a little bit at least, or come within shooting distance.
What's a typical spread look like? So do you find yourself using, I know, the Deception makes some really nice full body, Tyler's got the silhouettes. So do you find yourself using a mixture of the silhouettes versus the full bodies? Or
I just have all dive bomb silhouettes, and we'll run in honker season if that overlaps with the cranes, or if we're hunting the regular duck season into October, we'll probably run the cranes quite a ways behind the blinds, nowhere near the blinds, minimum of 175 to 100 yards behind us, depending on where the cranes are coming from or where the wind is. We'll run them way on the upwind side of the spread, a long ways from us. So you just view crane decoys different than you would view a duck spinner or a full body goose decoy. They're just not the same, because the crane's eyesight is so much better, meaning you want the cranes to be focused on the decoys and not looking for ground blinds whatsoever. You want to try hide the ground blinds with honker decoys and brush them in as best you can, and just hopefully the cranes will fly over those honker decoys, and just focusing in on the crane decoys that are behind you, and then can have some success that way. But if that makes sense, I guess.
If the decoys are so far behind you, then you're not typically, like, cranes aren't something that you're going to be flagging for or are putting any kind of motion into your spread then.
These work really good for cranes, but you just have to use them in context a lot longer, a lot further away than you would with a honker flag. So you just using the same tools, but you just look at them a little bit differently. And I'm talking for cranes and kind of more so in my backyard, hunting these graders up here, hunting the ones, the mid-continent birds down, say in Lubbock or something. They're going to act totally different. You can very successfully get those birds to come and decoy at the boot bags, so to say, on a pretty consistent basis with 4, 5, 6 dozen decoys. There's just more birds to work with. And in my opinion, having experience hunting both populations, the big ones here in Minnesota and those mid-continents, like, there's hardly any comparison to vision and probably just mental complexity, and just what the big ones don't tolerate anything. And those little ones, when we hunted them, they were rock stars. They wanted to party hard.
Nice.
So yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Ron, for anybody out there who hasn't seen the Meat Eater episode, kind of tell everybody about the decoys you guys are using down there, because that was kind of a trip. I love that episode. I've watched it a million times, but it kills me.
I'll tell you what, I've watched, for being on 5 shows, I've watched that one more times than not myself. And so Mike Panasci down there in Lubbock, he skins them out. He does like a 10-cent taxidermy job on them. And he has these big giant black totes. It takes 2 people to carry them. With like 5 or 6, he calls them stuffers. So he skins it out, he breasts it out, he sticks a coat hanger or a wire up its neck, puts a couple blocks of 2x4, kind of duct tapes the feathers on the chest. He's like the worst taxidermist in the world. And then on those 2x4 blocks, he's got a rod that goes down into the ground. But the thing is, the beauty of it is, it's real feathers. It's a real bird. They don't last real long.
I bet, especially in Texas.
He doesn't take the eyeballs out of them. He doesn't take the brains out of them. He doesn't take the neck meat out of them. And when we opened up them goddamn black totes, there's maggots crawling around on it. You're like,
He's out there crane hunting. You got coyotes that are sitting there picking your decoys,
oh, yeah.
dragging them off into the woods.
And he calls them stuffers. But they
full
do
of maggots.
full of maggot. I mean, he puts borax on it, but trust me, you go out crane hunting for a morning, some fly is going to get in that eyeball or that ear.
Sure.
And they're going like putting the larvae in there. And 3 days later, you open up that big black trunk. You're like going, oh my God.
Ron's throwing up bingo squares left and right here. Sex head with Ron already.
They did. I don't know if I don't even know if that's actually how they put maggots in them. But whatever. I mean, I'm just going to take it as truth. But, they obviously worked though, because you guys smoked them in the last couple days.
We used those. The same thing that handed our ass to us was when we used them in that field. All the disruptions we made in that field. I'm like, how the hell? I mean, I know a lot of people are hunting them in Texas, but you're thinking, come on. We're not moving, right? We're at least being good enough. I mean, we're on our back. We're in a layup line. We got grass around. And we're watching, and we're like going, and we're literally like, what the hell? What the hell? They were coming. They were coming to us. And they would just go around us. But
probably because of the smell.
could have been. But when we changed up, the last 2 days, and we went to a place that had
that's good comment right there.
Mommy fly. That's funny shit. But yeah, we were using. He probably had a dozen, maybe 15.
That's all you guys had, and you guys did that well. That's.
He also had some. They weren't like a silhouette. They kind of had like a little bit of.
Of an ass on them.
Well, like a little width to it. They
Right.
were, and we were sticking the rods in them and heating them up, and so we had those too. But when they did come into us the last 2 days, it was a foggy. I mean, foggy. You could hear the cranes out there, and you couldn't see them. And then we could see our crane decoys. When the fog started lifting, I almost shot one of our crane decoys. I'm like, I'm taking it. There's somebody's like, no, don't do that. But when they came in, I think really the only thing that really helped us was that fog lifted, and it was still like somewhat not real good visual. Even if they got good eyes, you can't see through fog.
Right.
And when we were shooting them, when we finally shot them, I mean, they were 20 yards over our head. It was boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, some of the best crane shoots I've ever had have been in fog, and it seems like they just have to fly lower, and they're such a visual bird, anyways. It seems like that really hinders them a lot.
Yeah, and I think, if I remember, I think you said it earlier. Those crane decoys, in this case, we had them way out in front of us, way out in the field. And what they were doing was coming kind of over to take a peek. And then they came right into shotgun range. Because those decoys were out there. We weren't going to shoot and we saw cranes coming into the decoys, and they literally lit right in the decoys.
Hmm.
And if you remember that episode, me and Steve are laughing like, yeah, the one crane comes down, he's walking around, he comes up to the stuffer crane, he's like, hey, what's going on? He said, you don't look well.
For those of you guys out there that are asking if Cory uses a call and if we're going to hear some calls, we're going to wait until the second hour for that. But we're only 6 minutes away, and it's going to be pretty funny listening to Doug, because Doug has one.
I'm not going to do it.
Oh, you absolutely are going to do it, you son of a bitch.
Yes,
There's no way you're not going to do that. He's blowing it into the phone earlier. I had driving around it. I almost put my car in the ditch when he blew that thing the first time. I was like, "Oh God, what was that?"
Easy now. We made some progress a couple hours ago, so you better wait.
Uh-oh.
Wait.
I'm waiting. I can't wait. And
now it only sounds like one dying cat.
I'm going to order one of those as well, Corey. And in fact, we were talking about Bruce Potter. Bruce wants to order one too, Ron. He went in on the decoys with me. He's all about shooting some cranes. But
you might not be able to order because I'm canceling my insurance in August. It might be a little tighter on.
I'll call him and make sure he calls Corey like tomorrow because the end of the month, end of the week. So,
Good.
but and the other question that I saw up there towards the top is there's a lot of people with questions about. Everybody sees the size of the cranes, right? And everybody's like, oh, geez, you must shoot like T-shot or whatever. So we're going to get into a little bit of what kind of shot size and stuff like that we use for that as well, because it'll surprise some people for sure.
Mm-hmm. You shoot what?
Right, exactly. Right. Yeah, I got one crane on YouTube that I shot with my GoPro, and it's so high up there, like you can barely see it. And I shot, and it's probably an honest to God 3 seconds before it hits the water, and there's this great big giant splash, and everybody's like, what caliber gun you shooting over there? Are you shooting 30-06? You can't hit them from there. It's like, nah, they're pretty easy.
Oh gosh.
For sure.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Contrary to what most decoyers would think, probably the most fun of the day, getting one of those cranes way up tall, because when you shoot one and break a wing, it looks like someone threw a frickin' lawn chair out of a helicopter. That sons of bitches come down. It's just
legs and wings.
Shit.
We're not pulling out of this one.
We're going down, boys. We're going down.
Houston, we have a problem.
So I got to tell you guys this one story quick before we take a little pee break and refreshing our drinks. But so Mike, Ron, Mike, like my best friend in the world. He's like the least coordinated guy in the world, and we don't have dogs. Well, we have dogs, but we don't have dogs that we're going to send out on like a 200-yard retrieve into the water to go pick up a crane. So we bring a canoe with, and when we're hunting the roost, and this crane goes way down out in the pass around on the north side. And we're like, it's dead. Well, we thought it was dead. Mike's like, I'll take the canoe out there. And like, it's windy and we're all standing on shore. And I swear to God, if I could have gotten a video of this, it would have gotten 1 million views, but he's out there paddling and you can see this crane like pecking the side of the canoe. And he's standing up and he's wailing away on this thing with the canoe paddle. And like, it was like battle out there. And he's like, he almost tipped the canoe over 4 or 5 times. And finally you can see him he turns that canoe sideways, that paddle handle. And he's like, oh, you son of a bitch, I'm going to axe you. It just whacks this thing. And he comes back in and like, he just out of breath, like completely worked. And I was like, man, how'd that go out there? We were looking at something over here, what happened? And he's like, never bringing that goddamn canoe with ever again. And if any of you guys ever shoot a crane, you're going to get it. And I was like,
so the lawyers just called me and told me that I have to let everyone know that Hunter's Happy Hour is a fair chase, fair and humane kill organization, and we do not condone the beating of cranes with paddles.
You got to kill it somehow. I mean, he's not going to dive in there and like shoot it with a spear gun, and you can't have a gun in a canoe. Well, I mean, you can, I suppose.
I would grab it and I would probably put it in a triangle.
Yeah, that's what my friend Reese said. Yeah, right. He said, I'll choke that thing out. I was like, I don't know, man. I'll watch.
Yeah, that's what
I'll watch.
Those goddamn cranes, I kept feeding them with the canoe paddle. He wouldn't fucking die.
I gotta go hunt with Corey now.
I gotta go take a potty break and get another bottle of booze to drink. So I'll be back.
I gotta go put Taffy somewhere because she's driving me crazy. Look at her hair. Look at the blonde.
This is how you know that you have the best wife in the world. She knows it's hour 2 and she brings me one all the way upstairs.
Oh, Doug's wife.
Oh, she doesn't want to be on camera.
You do get the wife award, Doug. There's no doubt about it. Is that a 312 again?
That's You know what? It's permanently on sale for $15 a 15 pack.
That's good,
Myers. So I stock up.
Yeah. Now I don't know if this little dog here can pick up a crane.
No,
she would drag it by the neck. Look at this little. Isn't she gorgeous? Isn't she gorgeous? She's like that girl. Well,
Corey, you'll get official celebrity status if you name your puppy Cooter.
I can't. My buddy's got Cooter already.
There's already a dog. Well, he's H3 famous then.
Yep. Jeremy Hawthorne. Look him up. He's got big Cooter, big black Cooter. He loves hunting with his big black Cooter.
Yeah.
And my neighbors across the street, Brad Bazell, they named their first short
Yeah,
hair.
Mike. I said Myers with an S. I'm from Michigan, asshole. We had an S to everything when here in Michigan.
Yeah, Myers.
God, everyone's a critic today.
Wait, when I moved to Michigan, Doug would only know this, but it was called Myers Thrifty Acres.
Yep.
And so when I got here, my buddy would say, "Well, just run up to Thrifty Acres and get it." I'm like, "What?" "Yeah, this store in 120 down by North." I was like, "Thrifty Acres? What? I mean, what kind of a name is that? Thrifty Acres?" And now you see Myers in Indiana.
Meyer. We'll get it right.
But it's originally Meyer Thrifty Acres.
So it ended in an S then.
Yeah, 50 acres.
So Tyler, you're off the hook. Corey's got a friend with a dog named Cooter, so you don't have to worry about the dogs being Cooter.
Nice. Yeah. Wasn't going to name it that to begin with. But, yeah, damn Brock guy, I tell you.
I mean, I don't want to be standing out in the middle of a swamp going, Cooter! Cooter! No, I don't want to.
Yeah, guys, I lost my Cooter the other night.
yeah.
Cooter left me.
All right, I'm going to get in trouble here.
Oh, boy.
Oh, God. Buckle up, boys.
All right, buckle up. So if you remember about 5-6 weeks ago, Jess Johnson from Wyoming Wildlife came on, and she's part of the Artemis podcast, right? It's an all-woman hunting, all-woman. And I'm a dad of 3 daughters, all grown, having babies and everything. And I'm so pro girl that if I get one more grandson, I'm going to drown it. Okay. But,
is that where you're going to get into trouble, or
no, coming? Getting better. Now I am going to find this. Hang on, because I don't want to do it any disservice. I'm going to
get over to your mute button in case I got to dump you.
Well, you might have to.
Okay, go ahead.
I have to pick up. I have to go to. Hang on, Stitcher.
I think Doug, if Larson keeps on missing episodes, I think we should have Corey be his fill-in. This has been pretty fun.
What do you think, Corey?
Yeah. Well, Corey's good with me. I'm good with Corey.
I gotta pull up the damn bingo card to get these guys drunk. I can't find it right now.
You got to go to Brock Guy's Instagram page.
I know.
Yeah.
All right, here it is. Okay. Now, so the Artemis podcast is held, these aren't like girls who just want to have a podcast. I mean, they're hunting, they're DIYs, they're badass, right?
Right.
And they had an episode with Emily Fairfax, who is Dr. Emily Fairfax, who got her master's degree in beavers.
I saw that too. I did.
I like, and everything except, like, I'm giggling right now, right? I'm giggling. So I listened to it, and it was like she literally asked Dr. Emily, she was like, "So when did you see your first and I don't know how they weren't cracking up. In my research,
get it, Ron.
Really
did she do any diving for beavers?
No,
because they're an aquatic animal.
You've got to listen to that podcast. Because if you want sophomoric, ridiculous humor to giggle like we're giggling right now, she's like, honestly, during my research, I never saw a wild beaver, but the funny thing was I'd be on a walk somewhere and then I'd see a beaver.
Oh God.
And I was like, girls, either you're doing this for effect and it's fucking hell, or you really didn't think about the subject matter. It was hysterical.
Oh, God.
Sorry, we might lose our YouTube stuff.
Yeah,
but I'll tell you what. That is a great podcast.
It's not just girls. It really is. I listen to it too.
Yeah,
and it's not just girls though. Anytime that Steve Ranella talks about eating beaver, I just have to.
I know. We all giggle like we're in high school.
Right, and then so Bruce and me, we stop at. You remember the Crooked Floor Bar? I think I've taken you there before.
Yeah.
We've stopped. Yeah. So we stopped there, and there's this bartender there 2 years ago now. And we walk in there, and she hunts, and she knows that I'm a big hunter, and she comes running up to me and Bruce when we walk in there, and Bruce is taking a sip of his drink, and she says, "Tyler, you got to come out to my truck. I'm going to show you my pelt." And Bruce spit freaking booze for a day. It turned out she'd shot a badger earlier in the day, and she'd skinned it out, and she was very proud of this great big gigantic badger. It's all about how mature you are, and I am not mature enough not to giggle at that.
I'm not either.
No, it's
I'm so less than mature.
Yeah.
I mean, it was such a softball.
God.
And she goes like, "So you went to grad school and you're studying biology. How did you get into beavers?" I'm like, "Come on, cut it out. Stop it."
As Ron drives his truck off the road. No. Oh, anyway, my word.
I don't know where we were going, but let's get back on some track.
Yeah, I think we're going to get into maybe talking a little bit about ammunition.
That would be good. Yes. Anything to get us out of this.
You need BB and 3.5-inch mags and.
First of all, anybody who shoots 3.5-inch.
I was waiting for it. There it is.
Just saying. It's not a.
There it is.
They're the worst patterning shell on the market. They have the longest shot string. They're completely unnecessary. Yeah. Go ahead, Cory.
All right, Cory, go ahead. What are we looking for shot size?
Well, I've been shooting that Boss Bismuth 2 3/4-inch number 5, the original shorty. Since day one. And well, actually, on day one, I had 4s and I had 6s. And I liked them both, but I kind of wanted to mesh them. So I said, give me 5s. And
I'm looking for – I got some of the 3.5 mixes. I'm going to shoot some of those at them this year.
Yep, you bet. I had some luck with those, shooting them at late season honkers, like 3-inch, 3.5 mixes, January honkers when they're all feathered up out in out west, way out west. But for those cranes, so everyone thinks with this elephant gun mentality, big bird, big gun, big bullets type of stuff. But no, that's not really the case. And it's kind of, it follows suit with honkers as well. So the target on a crane and a big honker is not the whole bird itself. It's not, it's not the breast. I've photographed many hundreds of honkers soaking up 3-inch number 2s, 3-inch BBs, 3-inch triple Bs, whatever, 3.5-inch stuff. I've just watched them soak up a bunch of steel in the breast just because people don't realize they need to lead the bird more and shoot a smaller shot size so that you can hit those small targets. The target on a honker or a crane is not the big bird itself. It's not the breast. It's not the guts. It's not the legs. It's the wing bones and the neck and the brain. Like those are your 3 targets. And if you think of how big those targets are, well, there's pretty much the diameter of a wing bone right there. So that's your target in the air. Are you going to have a very good opportunity to hit that with triple Bs when you got 84 pellets in the shell, or you want to bump up to 5s, you know?
This is what Dave Dean gave me when I went to Texas to do that.
2 1/4 ounce. Oh my God.
I
That'll
can
do
barely hold up this box. Okay.
If you're hunting ostrich, that's what you need.
Pterodactyls.
He gave me his SP10 because he wanted to see it on television, right? So I bought the SP10. The first day when I did miss cranes, I did take shots at him. I might as well have been shooting buckshot. And this is not what you want to shoot. Is Dave on tonight? No, he's not on.
No.
Anyway, I still got this box. I'm telling you what, this thing, you can do kettlebell workouts with this thing.
What the hell is 25 times 2 1/4 plus that's a 5-pound box of shells.
Oh my God, easy. It says it's 3.5 inch, 4.5 drams. Even with the 10, I thought I was trying to I felt like I was horseshoeing a mule. It's like, oh! I just remember the difference in sound. The difference in sound on the episode is crazy. Like you can hear everybody else wailing away with 12 gauge, and all of a sudden you're you see Ron just, oh God, like oh geez. So I actually killed him with 12 gauge with smaller shot later on.
Right.
Perfect.
Anyway,
5s though. That's 2 3/4 inch 5s.
That's my go-to. Yeah, pretty much for everything.
I would agree with that.
Everything other than rough grouse. It just a little aggressive for rough grouse, but yeah, ducks, honkers, cranes, pheasants,
Honkers too,
all day long.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like me and Doug were talking about it earlier when I was telling him like the exact same thing that you said, that they're not nearly as hard to knock down as a goose because they don't have that big layer of thick fat. You could the neck's a little bit longer. Their wings are gigantic. So I mean, like there's a lot of square inches on a bird that'll bring them down. But those late season honkers, and I totally agree with you. I just never even thought about it. I mean, like I always thought that you kind of needed some trauma for them, but I mean, yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah. I learned a lot about it through the lens of my camera, honestly, and just watching so many people shoot them, and that big long neck has so many people shooting behind the birds. I'm not sure why they aim off of the breast, and then they aim off of the breast, but then they proceed to put the front edge of the pattern about, say, where their belly button would be, and so that's the front edge of the pattern, and a honker. You'll see a big puff of white feathers, and oh gosh, smoked him. He's still flying. I can't believe it. I smoked him. Look at all them feathers. Well, it's just all ass feathers getting shot up, so he's got no large intestine left anymore. You can pretty much tell him, yeah, that bird was at 40 yards and you missed it by 2 feet. Right. So take that into context when you're sighting in your deer rifle or something like that. That was a horrible shot. I don't know what you were thinking.
Wes is right. We do need a social quick. We came back and we got right into beaver talk. So, and like you're talking about with the lead, I remember the day when I figured out how bad this is shooting old steel shot, which they can say 1,500 feet per second on the box, and it may be 1,500 feet per second at the muzzle, but it drops velocity really fast. Really, really fast. So I mean, at 50 yards, you're probably, I mean, like it's a lot of that energy's gone. Yep. And there was 5 cranes coming over, and they were pretty high. They were probably 50 yards. And I'm shooting at the front one, and I shot and I killed the third one back. I mean, stone dead. And all my buddies are like, Jesus, that was a really good shot, man. And I'm just like, oh yeah, that was a great shot. That's the one I was aiming at. You know, I wasn't aiming at the front one at all. But I was like, holy shit, I missed that bird by like 7 feet. Like it was really bad. It's like, I mean, if you were trying to shoot running deer and killing one way over here, like it's when, and that's the thing I'm excited about this year with that copper plated Smith, which I'm still sober enough to say without slurring. Amazing. I'm looking forward to seeing how that carries velocity farther out in the range compared to just the old fashioned steel.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I saw a big difference in the amount of cripples that we were having to chase. It drastically reduced them, and that's pretty much everyone's goal is quick, clean, humane kills. I don't want to see any of that.
You don't want to have to hit them with a boat paddle?
No, is that what paddle? No canoe paddles. Feeding them. No, none of that. I just want them done. It's easier on the dogs that way.
Much easier, yeah, for sure.
I kind of want to hear him start blowing on a call.
Yeah.
I'm ready. Yep.
I'm ready.
Well, let's
I'm
go.
ready.
Let's hear it.
So Cory first, then we have to hear the comparison.
Let me
Or the other way around.
Let me pull up a recording really quick.
Oh boy. Oh
Cheater.
boy.
So let's start off with what those big graders that you're going to see where you're at.
Actually, hold
yeah.
on a second. I want to talk about how you developed this call, but
Yeah.
before we even get into what the call sounds like. So, I mean, there's not a lot of crane calls on the market that I've
Not
seen.
really. No,
Yeah.
not many. There's some pretty rough ones out there, but good ones. The boys down at Deception have a good one, and I had one of theirs. I really like those guys. A great group of people down there, and it was too high pitched for me, for the birds that we're shooting up here, the big birds, and I wanted that deeper tone. But the cranes migration they're all over the place, and the tones that they make are so much different from the mid-continents and the lesser western subspecies, and then the graders that we have in Minnesota. So I kind of wanted to try and develop.
Those guys crush cranes.
Yeah,
Those guys got a dial.
They've got a pretty fun refuge real close to to the house. So we've chatted about that plenty of times. But I just wanted a crane call, an adjustable crane call that could match all those sounds depending on, didn't matter where I was going hunting, in the Panhandle or Minnesota or North Dakota, Saskatchewan, whatever. Let's hear it, Ron. Give her.
Fire it off.
Is that how you use it? That's what I thought.
Doug, screenshot that. That's a t-shirt right there.
I don't need to. It's being recorded.
Perfect. Stop.
Where? I know I can do this.
That's what he said.
Oh boy.
There you go.
Does that sound like
Well, I can't follow that up.
Okay, just stop. I'm starting to feel a little bit nauseated, just a touch. So,
Daffy doesn't even like it.
yeah, I bet. She's like, Dad, you're embarrassing the entire kennel right now. You need to quit.
The entire kennel. Miller's on my hip. Bravo's saying stop it.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right, let's hear what a good call is supposed to sound like, Cory.
All right, so I designed this 3-piece crane call. The mouthpiece and then the insert, you can just barely see there, and then the tube that goes on the outside, that's kind of going to give that's going to depict your tone. So all the way in like that, I dropped it. All the way in like that is going to be for the higher pitched birds, the mid-continent and the western subspecies, and then extend it. That's going to give you a deeper tone. So here's our greater Minnesota birds. Hopefully it sounds all right coming through the YouTubes. Is it all right?
Sounds pretty good. Yeah, it sounds good. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna get Ron a little excited here. You ready, Ron? Hold on.
That sounds good. That sounds really good.
And then a little higher pitch. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it over the interwebs, but here's kind of some higher pitch stuff. So like those western subspecies. So there you have it.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds fantastic. That's hands down the best sounding crane call I've ever heard. Will the big ones go into the lessers?
What's weird about that is inside that room, I can definitely, it's like I've heard that. No, I've heard that. But if you were outside, it's different. It just like bounces off the trees, and It's
amazing how far that sound carries.
Almost a
it really is.
creepy. It's almost a creepy, like, what the hell's making that noise?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You got to elevate head tilt up from the pups. Dry fly says, "Yeah, I bet." If I had my headphones off, my dog would be freaking out right now. But no, that sounds great. Will the big ones come into the lesser calls, or the other way around, or do you have to be really cognizant of where you're hunting?
I think for the most part, it's more of an attention getter. Sure. And more of a little bit of a longer range, because you don't want to blow a crane call the same as you would blow a goose call, because you're probably not hiding in the same area in relation to crane decoys as you are goose decoys. So sure. It's going to be used a little bit differently, like the flag is. Everything's just a lot further away because their eyesight is that much better. So get them coming your way, and then stay still. Yes, put it down, stay still, and let the decoys do the work after that. So that's kind of the game plan.
That's actually close. That sounds better than Doug earlier, actually.
It does.
Oh, I lost the wobble.
You broke it.
Got it.
You broke it.
Come on, guys. Don't take the wobble. Sarah, give me that. Come on. Kathy took my wobble.
We're calling it now.
Good girl.
So she's like, I just saw you had that in your mouth for a long time, so apparently I'm just supposed to carry this thing off.
Wait, here we go. That sounds a little like a crane. No?
It's like
imitating a turkey,
close.
Sure.
A crane imitation.
Yeah.
All right. Could you make a turkey gobble with a crane call? I bet you could. Bet you could shock gobble a turkey with that.
Oh, I bet you.
Yeah, so this is what I use for turkey hunting to make turkeys shock gobble. So they, whatever it is, it's a regional thing because we have so many nesting cranes around here and they're louder than heck. But yeah, running through the turkey woods in the spring, I'll watch a crow fly right over a flock of turkeys, cawing his head off, and don't get any response out of the turkeys at all. But a crane fires up a quarter mile away, and those turkeys answer right back. So I carry that thing. I carry that thing around the turkey woods all the time, and get a response more often than any owl hooter or crow call around here.
It's just got that. It's almost like a dog barking with feathers and wings.
It's a weird sound. And Ron, you've got to see it a little bit down at the pass when we're kind of trying to sneak in there in the mornings. But when you're close to a big number of those things, it is a unsettling sound. Like when there's thousands and thousands and thousands of them, and I'm sure you've seen it in Texas too. It's one of those sounds that people that, as soon as you know what you're listening for, you can hear it from freaking miles away. Yeah. You're like, what? They're over there somewhere. It's a sound that really seems to have a lot of carry to it.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's like it's somewhere between that and honkers. They both have that thing like you hear them before you see them.
Yeah, for sure.
And it gets you like, mallards and gadwalls, and you don't hear them coming from 3 miles away. Like you're sitting in the blind and you're waiting, and you see them with your eyes for. It's like, oh, they're there. But geese and cranes, it's like, it's like they're giving their coordinates away.
Yeah, it's like, where are they? I can hear them, but I can't see them. And like anybody who's ever seen the cranes like super high up in the air and you can hear them, but you're looking and you're like, Jesus, I can't. They're a mile and a half in the air. You can't see them sometimes. It's insane. Yeah, Doug, fire off there, buddy.
No, I actually got a question. So is it pretty fair to say that like calling cranes, the call is basically just an attention getter? It's to get them to make kind of contact with the decoys, let them know that there's something going on. It's not like you're having a conversation where like geese and honkers have this whole like language that they're, in this series of calling that you're doing to, as they approach, your calling's changing, it's getting more aggressive. The excitement kind of builds up and then they start hearing, finer noises and clucks and stuff as they get closer. So like the crane calling is literally just to get their attentions or let them know, hey, we're over here and come check us out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a few parts to that question, and hit on a couple of them. But I'm going to use the crane call different in Texas than I will in Minnesota for sure, because the different birds that you're hunting. The birds down there in Texas, we were able to communicate with them right to the ground, and it was no problem. And they were all about it the whole way down, coming across the field and into the decoys, right until we surprised them. But the birds in Minnesota, no, I'm not going to be calling at them until their feet on the ground. It's an attention getter, and to hopefully adjust their flight line to get them to come over you, keep them curious. It works. It's super effective. They'll be looking, and the better off that you're hid, then the better chance you got to shoot them. But no, they'll be super curious and very effective. I just am going to stop calling a lot sooner in Minnesota than I am in Texas.
Sure.
So
what kind of sound are you actually like? What are you blowing into the call to like to get that sound? Like what are you?
So
you know what I mean? That's a terrible way of phrasing it. But.
No, I know what you're talking about. But if anyone's familiar with blowing a speckle belly call, that's the pitch and the pressures that you need to achieve. So it's really high pitch, and it's fairly high pressure into the call, and I chop the sound off, or I make the goofy crane sound by imitating a machine gun that I used to make when we were playing Army guys in the sandbox when I was a kid. And it's not the same sound as a cat purring like that. That won't achieve enough pressure to break the call over to get that sound. So if you're going to try and mimic a cat purring, not going to work like that. It's got to be
not like doing a feeding chuckle for a mallard call or something like that. It takes a lot more pressure.
Nope, nothing like that. Yeah, you're building up more pressure, and there's really no control with your tongue. With a mallard call, mallard feeding chuckle, or a refuge feed, you are saying tick many times really, really fast, and you're actually saying something. With the Sandhill Crane, you're just stuttering your tongue, and there's really no control over it, so to say. So it's just like that.
Almost like a sprinkler
or machine gun, however you want to define it. Yeah, but sprinkler or a machine gun, and that's going to build up enough pressure and airspeed to get the reed to break over the right way to get you that higher pitch. That's what Doug was struggling with earlier, was just didn't have enough pressure built up to break the call over to that higher pitch. So once you figure out that pitch, I'll try to blow it too low. You can hear that pitch difference.
Sure.
When you get up there, and that's the just added pressure coming from the diaphragm, added airspeed into the call, and then just a little bit more pressure behind your tongue. But my teeth are pretty much closed together. I spit all over the place when I do it, so I didn't want to spit on the camera. So that's why I was turning away.
So we talked earlier about how when those birds are on kind of a line where they're going to where they want to go to, will you see them turn almost like you can turn geese like 90 degrees?
Oh yeah.
And get them to come in. Will those cranes turn like that too?
Oh yeah. They're very responsive to a good sounding call, but
there's just not that many of them out there.
Yeah, there's not too many of them. So yeah, we've had a lot of luck with it in the last couple of years. That it's
probably like the first guy who ever blew a duck call, and the duck's like, holy shit, there's like 20 of us over there, and like, let's go over there. And then all of a sudden they're like, holy Christ, we all got dead. And like there's probably a pretty steep learning curve there, but very
steep, very steep,
really steep.
Doug, let's hear what you've got.
Doug can do it. Doug can do it. I heard him.
Do it.
I'll vouch for him.
You guys, yeah, nice job, Doug. Hey, it's time to talk about swimming naked in Chicago. You can do a block. You can...
He's got his mic muted.
He hates putting things.
Unmute your mic.
Yeah, I was going
There you
to, but it's really hard to get the first couple of them. I can't
You
get
need to
enough air pressure.
Turn away from the microphone. Do what Cory's doing. Yeah, there you go.
I can't.
There was a couple there that didn't sound too bad. I bet your dog's flipping.
I can't get the enough pressure to break the reed over.
You can hear it.
It starts to.
It's gonna make you sound bad, but when it sounds kind of like crap, when it's like scratching out on top, that was the right pitch for Tyler and Ronnie. When you heard that sound over the speakers, that's what it sounded like in here. It's real high pitched and just does something goofy with the speakers. So.
I can't get it to break.
In person, it would sound better. I'll guarantee it.
Yeah.
Right.
I have GSPs attacking my iPad. Got some Jurassic Park shit going on.
I'm gonna break out
Andrew, what do you need explained? I'm struggling. This is my job. This is what I do every day. So help me out. How do I dumb it down?
That doesn't sound that much better either.
Really? It's not working.
So I'm not sure what he means.
I don't know if that's a tampon holder or a goose call. I don't know what that is.
It's probably yours familiar. I'll keep practice. By the time I get out to your place, Tyler, I'll have it down.
Okay.
You better.
Well, yeah. And see, I'm going to drive around on the mail route, and everybody's just going to be like, "Jesus, you hear that Sandhill Crane going down the road delivering mail?"
You hear that dying cat? The day that you get it, I want you to call me so I can make fun of you on that day.
I got that Bluetooth in the Ford exactly for that reason.
And then Cory's going to be giving me one-on-one lessons for the next week.
Perfect.
Video.
Yeah, you're probably going to stop out there and hunt with them and actually hear what it's supposed to sound like, and you're going to get out here and you're going to be like, "Oh my god, how are those things responding to that dead cat in the blind?"
Yeah. I'll have my little 50-pound female out there to pick them up too.
So we got like 25 minutes left, and there's one glaring hole in what we've talked about so far tonight.
What's that?
Everybody knows that they're called ribeye of the sky. We need to talk a little bit about eating them, and it's hands down the best thing about hunting cranes for sure. And I know that Ron and Cory, I'm sure you guys. I mean, first of all, they're really fun to hunt, but oh my god, are they good on the table? And I told Ron he is absolutely responsible for me knowing how to actually cook a crane in the Meat Eater the Meat Eater show in general, because we shot them for. I shot my first crane when I was probably like 9 years old. Single shot 20 gauge. And we turned it into jerky for no kidding for like 15 years. For like 15 years, it was jerky meat. That's all that we did out of it. And it all came from, I come from, and thank God my grandma doesn't pay attention to this, but because she's a wonderful woman, but does not cook wild game well. She cooks wild game like an old Swedish woman.
Get the germs out of it.
Where everything is cooked until it's gray, right? And if you overcook it, just like if you did it, well, I didn't think pheasant was good for 15 years of my life. I'm not kidding. So like when I watched the Meat Eater show and I talked to Ron, actually, Ron was going to be coming, or Ron came up here. That was the first time that we met, right after you got done with that crane hunt. And I was like, okay, I got to know. How did you do it? And is it really that good? And he's like, no, it's really that good. And it's honest to God that simple. And I've done it that way ever since. And Wes was up here last year. We shot a couple and we cooked them on the grill right next to some. First of all, Doug, when you come up here, Wes Larrabee brings these steaks that are no kidding like this big and like this thick. Like he brings an entire beef loin and he cuts like his own steaks. Fantastic. Anyways, so we cooked the crane right next to that and we served that as an appetizer. And I'm not saying it was better than the beef or even quite as good, but everybody who tried a piece of it was just absolutely blown away. Steak seasoning, cook it hot and fast, olive oil. Excellent.
Medium rare, right?
I would eat that as sushi. I've done venison. People don't think this. I have done venison sushi.
Okay.
Same here.
A cold
Really?
deer, cut it thin. I've eaten it just with a little salt. I've eaten raw deer.
Soy
and I
sauce.
would absolutely eat raw crane.
Mm.
I would. I have
I've never tried it.
Oh,
Probably not going to, but
if you think that rare is good, try it raw. I'm telling you.
Okay. I've never tried it, but I will. I will try it.
And we're not going back
Caribou.
to the Artemis podcast here. I'm talking
Right.
about
Right. Thank God.
Caribou
What were
would
you
be the
saying,
best
Cory?
thing. Caribou would be
Really?
the best thing I've ever had raw. Yep.
I've
Really?
had caribou raw.
Mm-hmm. Love
Really?
that.
Huh. Interesting. It's carpaccio, right? Lucas isn't raw meat. Yeah. Not red is what he. Yeah.
there you
But
go.
I've never tried that at all.
Do your
Go ahead.
your cranes smell goofy? The birds themselves, feathers and all, right after you kill them, like real sagey,
Real salty is what they smell
salty.
like here.
Okay.
Yeah, it's because and here it's because they all sit on those alkali flats. So
Yeah.
it's basically a saltwater flat that the water's never more than a foot deep.
Yep.
Is what they're sitting on here, and there's a lot of them around this particular area.
Yep.
But yeah, when you first shoot them, they in fact.
Did you say that's a foot? Or
He did,
He did.
You did?
but he's not married, so yeah.
Sorry.
I'm 6'5", damn it! Like this is a foot, all right.
No,
Yeah.
this is a foot. That's a foot.
We're not going to
Derailed.
jiu-jitsu for a while. You're so much more flexible than I would have anticipated.
Oh my god! I can put it behind my head.
Your wife's a lucky woman. But I some of the ones I've shot, like their feet and their legs are actually white, like it's been stained from the brackish kind of water. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's definitely a little bit of a smell there. But when me and Doug were talking earlier, one of the things is about cranes, why everybody thinks you have to shoot these giant shells. Like with geese, when you're talking about the pellets, kind of like they can absorb a lot of shot.
Mm-hmm.
Cranes don't have that layer of down and that layer of fat because their breast never hits the water ever.
No.
So like for those of you who haven't shot them, the skin on a crane is a lot more like the skin on a pheasant. Like it's thicker than that, but I mean like appropriate compared to their body size. It's not like where you have to like rip open
It's not like a Canada goose.
a Canadian goose, yeah. Not like that.
I knew you would suck right into that one.
I pissed him off now.
You guys is.
Yeah.
You guys is.
Let's just go out to Myers and get some beer.
Myers is. I pissed him off. Now he completely lost his train of thought.
That's not that. It's old age.
Oh, what? I'm sorry. Dozed off.
But actually, I got a question for you though. Like, I've never kept the thighs off them, and when you guys were down there, you guys kept the thighs and the hearts on. What were the thighs like?
Yeah, it was very good.
Really?
Very good. Put them on shish kebab things and put, vegetables in between it.
Sure.
Oh God. He goes because they're a walking bird, but they're not a running bird.
Sure. They're not going to have a whole bunch of tendons in there like a pheasant.
The 73 tendons coming out of it.
Right.
Oh, it's a bird that you should. I mean, you're not going to get much off the back, but you should definitely use the thighs and the breast.
Did you keep any of the birds that you guys plucked and roast them whole? I'm curious on how that would turn out. I bet it would be a little bit like prime rib.
I did not, but Steve did. He kept a young bird,
Mm-hmm.
I never did ask him how that shaped out. But he
send him a text. Send him a text while we're on here and see if he responds. I'm curious to see if he'll respond to you because I doubt he does. I'm sure he's as embarrassed by you as everybody else.
He's way too big to respond to Ronnie anymore.
Have you got that before, Cory? Have you Captain plucked the bird and roasted it, the whole bird?
Yeah. No, not the whole bird, but just in pieces. The breast meat separate from the thighs, separate from the drummies. But eating a crane leg, they're like wild turkey drummies, kind of. So, but they're freaking cooler than shit eating them because you get to hold on to that giant leg. Fred Flintstone. So yeah, why wouldn't you? Ron's got the motion. He knows a crane leg or two.
Listen, I learned that from Judy Baylog.
Oh my God! She's watching. She's gonna kill you. Hopefully, she's not
going to have her on the show in 2 weeks.
Hopefully,
the first time I saw. Well, Judy and I used to be good drinking partners, dog training partners.
You don't know this yet, but we're gonna have her on in 2 weeks.
Well, then I'll just save this story.
Tune in next week. Ron gets muted in 4.2 seconds.
Right. Hopefully she's not cutting her hair tomorrow. She could Sweeney Todd you a little bit.
Judy and Ron both get divorced in next week's episode. This is a good one. This is going to go down. This is a classic.
This is a classic, yeah, for sure.
Cory's
God, I had a question. I can't think of it. Hold on. You guys talk amongst yourself. I'll think of it. Apparently, the vodka is affecting my memory.
I want to know. I want to know a little bit about Cory's dogs. Now, we talked before we started this.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
we talked about he just had a litter of pups, but
I do need to point out before you get started, Ron, that he has a pointing lab.
That's okay. Some labs point.
And then if it's mine, he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And they're devil dogs.
I don't know Cory that well yet. Tomorrow I'll pick on him.
Hold her wide open, Ronnie.
You've got a whole bunch of AKC ribbons over there on your left shoulder.
Yep. So we can take a walk around the shop. You guys want to see this little call factory here? Let me unplug this hot rod. Let's go.
I see a ski there.
There's courtesy of the Nick Dawkin right there. I can't see what I'm doing.
You got
couple mounts there. Couple little neck collars hanging out here. Some mounts. This is Boone's wall right here.
Holy shit.
So there's the Grand Pointer, Master Pointing there, Master Hunter there, Hunting Retriever Champion there. Here's Bonnie's two senior ribbons.
That's the best one right there.
There's one of my pride and joys. Is this thing level? Okay. Here's the inventory that we've got. So
I like the Maker's Mark bottle up there in the top right or top left.
Yeah, so if you guys are familiar with the Run and Gun Tour, JJ and Connor, they had this in the garbage of the Run and Gun bus. That was a Sitka Yeti and Rig'em-Rite deal. So that's a laser engraved custom one of one signed by JJ and Connor. That stays in the shop. There's still a little swig in there for you. Come and take it if you want. So, but no, this is kind of it. This is the chaos of the tuning table right now. That's what that looks like. So,
how many how many calls can you produce in a day?
As many as I need to. I don't know. Maybe 100 of them if I wanted to.
No shit. Okay.
But I do them in big batches. So, and that's Ruse. There's Ruse. There's Ruse Waltz, Senior Hunter, Master Hunter, and Hunting Retriever there. So those are the 3 of the 4 dogs that I have here right now. And then Red is here as well. And she just had puppies last night till 5 in the morning. And she's got a bunch of ribbons herself too, Hunting Retriever Champion and Senior Hunter. So I do a lot of hunt tests in the summer. That's a big part of my job, training our dogs. running around in hunt tests in the UKC and AKC, just all the Labrador retriever stuff. I don't get into any of those weird wire hair breeds or whatever, Ron.
Cory, you do the hunt test as opposed to the field trial, or both?
No, just I'm just into the hunt test stuff. My dogs are real hardcore hunting dogs. They're hunting dogs first and hunt test dogs second. Field trial stuff in the Labrador world, I just don't see much relation to hunting. And there's just so much training involved with taking, in my opinion, a lot of the hunting instinct out of them to get them to run those field trials. So I stay pretty much out of that game exclusively and just run the hunt tests. That's enough for me. The field trial stuff, I'm not taking anything away from that. There's unbelievable dogs running in that. It just doesn't. Yeah, this doesn't fit my style exactly.
Right.
So
if we could be kind of really, we could be real tongue in cheek and say, well, if you're a field trialer, you might not have time to hunt.
A lot of them don't hunt.
Yeah,
there's some field trialers that do, but I like the hunt test format because you're judged to a standard, and on a given day, 5 dogs or 10 dogs or whatever dogs could get the same score because you're evaluating a quality of a dog. You're evaluating to a standard, and it's not a first, second, and third place. It's a leg, or in AKC, you got to do several of them. But so NAVs is the same way. You just, it's an evaluation of you and your dog, and as close as we get to a hunting situation, it's not hunting, but it's as close as we can make it.
Yep.
And I think that, and I just had a phone call 2 days ago. A guy sent me 4 kennel names of short hair kennels in Michigan. And he somehow assumed that I would know all of them. I'm like, look, I don't know any of those kennel names. But what I will tell you is look at their websites and see what they're doing. And if they're doing field trials, and that is a little bit of a diversion, because there's some short hairs out there that can whip ass in a field trial. But you might not want to hunt with them. Same thing with wire hairs, Vizslas, and everything else. But if you stick with the hunt test format, on that given day, you're not the only one walking out of that place with a ribbon. You guys all showed the judges that your dogs are progressing, your dogs are doing the job, and that's what I like. I don't care if it's a lab or a short hair or whatever it is. I do like the hunt test format, and I think the field trial format, there's some spectacular dogs out there, but it's just so much more competitive that you got to be that guy that likes to. I'd almost, you know what, Tyler? I'd almost say, knowing you for a few years, the way you like to play pool, right? Like you're very competitive. I'm almost surprised that you're not a field trialer because you want to be the best pool player that night.
I would end up in a fist fight with somebody because I'd be like, "You didn't see what my dog did, you piece of shit!" I'd be mad. It wouldn't be good. Yeah,
right.
I'd probably go to 1, and then I'd be like, "You don't know what you're talking about." Yeah, it would be good.
So there's a couple questions that popped up. Have you been on Minnesota Bound? I'm wondering, I get that maybe that's a local television show.
Yeah. It's one that Travis Frank does.
That is.
I have been on there one with Goose Fest up in Middle River a few years ago.
And Wes is looking to find out, do you guys, so you obviously do most of your training probably by yourself and train your own dogs. Are you training outside dogs?
I do not train any outside dogs. I do. Oh, show and tell time. Look what we got here.
Oh, babies.
Ron, hey, everyone take a drink. Ron walked off set here, but
and 14-hour dog old, right?
Yeah, 8:49 right now. Yeah, we're
not even 24 hours old.
Was not the first one born. This is a male, so yep, not even a day old. There we go.
I like yellows a lot.
These will be real dark yellows and yellows. There's a little mix in the litter, but no, I don't train outside dogs. What I do, my training methods and training styles.
Oh, it's talking.
Here we go,
Ron.
Ron.
There you go.
Oh, here.
Oh, the
You're live, buddy.
Oh, look at him.
Puppy deliveries of drink, Brock guy? Are you kidding me? Brock guy. Like, you have that on the board?
Oh my God, that's yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That dog is as innocent as a nun.
Most nuns are probably. Never mind. We're not going to go there.
Cool.
But
I don't know anything about nuns. I know something about preachers' daughters, but other than that,
so back to dog training. No, I do all my own work. Train my dogs when I can, and if I don't have time, then I will send them down to Tim and Lauren Springer down in Marine in the St. Croix, just northeast of the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul area. And they've got dynamic retrievers. And Tim's got another program as well that is his dynamic DIY, the do-it-yourself program. And Tim has helped me along with all the dogs and getting them trained up to the senior and master level with with Boone and with Bonnie and with Rue and with Red. But if I'm busy doing shows and stuff, obviously not this year because of the Rona, but if I'm busy doing shows, then I'll send the dogs down to those guys. Or if we've got 3 feet of snow in the backyard, then they'll run down to Texas with Tim and Lauren and have had a good relationship with those guys, and they do awesome work down there. Tim's background is psychology. I think he's probably got his master's in psychology, so that's how he relates with the dog training is all things psychological, all the psychological involvement with training a dog and how the dogs react to anything positive. Yeah, respond to positive and negative praise and e-collars and drills and how handlers can clearly communicate with the dog. So that's been huge in helping me with the dogs because I have a clear and very short path from point A to point B with, what my goals are with the dogs and where I want to get with them. Tim has most all the answers. So send a video down to Tim and he'll call me or text me back, and that's part of his DIY program. And that's how that thing works is you pretty much have Tim Springer in your back pocket helping you train every day, and he's got more answers than I have questions for. So works out pretty good that way. And I really can't say enough good about that program. It's helped me so much, and I've been up a wall with different situations, different things that the dogs are doing. Just little problems here and there that you got to work through when you're training a dog up to that master level, and having those guys to help out, it's been huge. So
Cory and I talked earlier today, and I did a little bit of research on dynamic retrievers, and I'm all kinds of interested now, and mostly like to the point where like he will be on a show at some point, just because the thing that you notice is that it's not a cookie cutter system. Is that it because he is such a because he plays the psychological part of it. Every dog is unique, so you need to train the unique dog in front of you. And I'm all kinds of interested in that. I know that we talked a little bit about that. So like over the next couple of days, I'm going to be reaching out to him and working at maybe before hunting season gets here, getting him on now that everybody's kind of in the training groove and work on getting their dogs ready for the season. I think he would be a fantastic guest in the near future. Plus, I've got 1,000 questions I want to ask him.
Super fun guy to talk to, and just a wealth of knowledge. So much, like make your head explode talking to that guy. So,
hey Cory, I got a question.
Yeah,
you're gonna think I'm making this up, but I'm not making this up.
Yeah,
my mom she's from a family of 8 in Virginia, Illinois. That's like South Central Illinois. And my Aunt Dodie, Dorleen, she married a guy by the last name of Loeffler. That's how you pronounce your name, right? Loeffler?
Yeah, Loeffler, sure. Depends on where you're from.
Loeffler?
Yeah, some relatives do. I usually do. Yeah, but some days it's Loeffler, whatever. Who cares?
German, the OE is an A.
Yep.
Like a Loeffler.
Yep.
So let's not fuck that up. Listen.
Yep.
He's going to start counting German next, so don't worry.
This is scary.
You'll start counting here pretty quick.
We could be somewhat related.
Hopefully, we are. That would be the best thing that's ever happened to you, Ron.
I wouldn't hope. But where is your family? Like down the road, where's your family from?
Germany. That's all I know.
I know that. I'm talking
Northern Minnesota.
In the last 80 years.
He's American.
Northern Minnesota. They homesteaded.
Everybody's Northern Minnesota.
Yep, the Loefflers homesteaded around here.
Son of a
Yeah. Nah.
I got Kelly and Kevin Loeffler, Uncle Bob, and Dodie. They're gone.
I got an Uncle Bob. I got an Uncle Bob. You got an Uncle Bob.
Everybody's got an Uncle Bob.
You know what I'm saying? Uncle Bob got around.
Ah, Bobby.
So with I know COVID kind of got everything. Plans are not going to be the same as what they might have been. Do you have any big trips planned for this year?
Oh, absolutely.
So where are you going?
North Dakota,
Not Canada.
South Dakota, Alaska, Texas, maybe Nebraska, maybe Kansas, backwoods in Minnesota, someplace in the middle of nowhere. DIY. Hopefully we can survive 4 days in the bush with just a duck boat and a shotgun kind of a trip.
Cool.
That'll be a wild one. I don't know what else. We'll see what the fall has to bring and see what the migration does. And hopefully I get my calls tuned up out the door and then hit the road.
Yeah, for sure.
So when you go on trips, you just kind of close things down and like we're done for a little while, or do you?
Oh, I answer the phone all the time. It's right here. Give me a holler.
Here you go.
Yeah, I might not be at the shop, but I'll answer the phone, help you out with maybe retuning your call or something like that over the phone. And if you want to ship it to me, I'll retune it for you when I get back and get it out the door right away.
So we're going to end here pretty quick, but and you can certainly give out your phone number if you want to give it out to these degenerates because
website degens.
I don't, but like some of them have it. You did a YouTube video that Brandon from Boss sent me, and it was about lead on birds in field, and
Okay.
it was a cool video that you did where you actually had a range finder in the blind, and they'd range the geese like 43 yards, and you'd show what the lead is.
Yep.
What was that just something that you seen where people were literally underestimating their lead and you kind of got tired of it or how did that whole thing kind of come about? Because it was a really cool idea.
Yeah, well, thanks. I would say it wasn't as much about the lead because I didn't talk about exactly where I was shooting. It was more kind of a one and done, one shot, one kill video. And what I wanted to do is shoot a goose at a known yardage. There's the video right there. You guys can look it up on YouTube if you want, DGens. I wanted to shoot a goose.
That's a good hat, by the way. Stellar hat.
What animal is that hat made out of? Boy.
Beaver.
Nope. Oh, there's beaver on the front of it. So but yeah, it's
we back to Artemis podcast again.
It's my sealskin bomber hat. So I wanted to shoot a goose at a known yardage, and we're using those Vortex Fury range finding binoculars. You can just hold the button down and then it scans the yardage. So we knew exactly, had the guy, Tristan, who was running the binoculars, just ripping out yardages when the geese were in the air. And then we knew what the yardage was when I pulled the trigger. And then we just ran a piece of cardboard out to the field at that same exact yardage. If it was 25 or 37 or 42, whatever the yardage was, and then we just shot the center of, or I tried to shoot the center of the cardboard with that gun and choke combo. Same shells, same everything, within 5 minutes of that. So the temperature is the same, the conditions are the same. It's a real live hunting situation with decoys and a panel blind. Like you don't get any more real than what's going on in that video. So yeah, you can go and shoot a pattern board in your backyard at 25 yards, but are the geese at 25 yards or are they decoying into 45 yards? You know,
such a cool idea. I mean, it really was a very cool idea. And to see, I watched the entire video a couple of times.
Thanks.
Are you shooting the 2 3/4 inch 5s there?
In that video, those were some pretty badass geese. This was filmed in late January or something of 2020 this year. And yeah, they were feathered up and it was super cold, late season. So I was shooting 3-inch shells and most of the time I think was that 3-inch number 3 or the 3.5 duplex. I think I switched a little bit back and forth to both of those. But yeah, that's kind of my go-to during that time of year. Like 3-inch 3 or 3-inch 3.5 duplex is kind of a very comparable shell to the 2 3/4 inch 5 if the birds are a little bit closer. So if the birds are a little more feathered up and you need some more kinetic energy, you still have that pellet count to find the head, neck, and wings, but you don't lose pellet count because you're bumping up from 2 3/4 to 3-inch. So maintain that pattern density there. So
such a cool idea for a video, and I'd never even thought about it before. And as soon as I watched it, I was like, okay, so I've never done an experiment like that where you're like, okay, 42 yards, this is where I'm aiming. Like this bird's dead. But look at, like, with the shells I'm shooting, this is what your pattern looks like. So I mean, like it gives you that you know, like just shooting the cardboard afterwards, and the slow motion or the freeze frame pictures, close ups. Man, that's such a game changer of an idea. It's really cool. And Brett B over here is asking about okay, never mind. He said the 3-inch 3.5 duplex ? But apparently he answered his own question. That stuff is brutal.
Yeah, absolutely. You bet. No, I mean, a lot of guys don't know exactly what it is they're throwing at a bird, whether it's a honker or pheasant or whatever, and don't know exactly that pattern density. And I wanted to show, hey, this is pattern density at 25 yards. Like if you breast punch this thing, there's going to be nothing left to put on the table. So be very cognitive about pulling out in front of that beak an extra 12 inches so that you can catch the head and the neck with the back half of that.
An extra 12 inches.
But yeah, like about 12 inches or so.
Yeah, you know, right there.
Right in there. So
when Doug comes up here, don't be surprised if we try. I don't know how on earth we would recreate it on upland birds, but I'm very interested in trying to do that. Like, I mean, like you'd have to stand where you're at and have a really good identifying marker and some sort of a camera running. But it's one of those things that people who aren't kind of ballistics nerds or have shot a lot of trap or sporting clays or whatever don't really understand that well. I mean, when you're throwing a pattern out there, it's, you know, like you have this. Well, I guess the best way to put it is that it's like with like my grandpa always told me, you don't aim a shotgun, you point it. You know, like there's a lot to that. I mean, it's you're not aiming at this exact spot, you're aiming at this spot.
Yep, for
sure.
And
just having that visual aid there is definitely something that was a very good idea and good. What in the hell are you drinking out of a bottle? Is that blackberry brandy?
Well, my beer's out in the truck, so I had a little.
It is blackberry brandy. I like it. I like it.
Hold on to a little bit of that for when I come up crane hunting, Cory.
All right. We got her.
I seen some chugs on YouTube from you too. It was pretty impressive. We got a party, man. It's gonna be a good time.
You know what? Kind of bothers me just a little bit with shotgunners, upland guys, waterfowl guys. You get these elk hunting guys and whitetail archery hunting guys. They are shooting bow all day, every day. I mean, every night after work, or at least 3-4 times a week in preparation for this elk tag that they drew. And these guys are dedicated. Like they're dialed, they're practicing. And it comes to waterfowl hunting or pheasant hunting. It's like, grab the freaking gun out of the rig. Yeah, let's go buy a box of shells. Let's go. We'll just point the gun and shoot it. You know, we don't prep any of this stuff, but I think we owe it to the birds to throw a couple shells downrange at a piece of cardboard, see what the heck you're working with. And that's kind of why I made that video, is just to hopefully shed a little bit of light on, for some people, like, hey, this is what you're throwing out of the end of your shotgun.
Right.
Is it is it ethical? Should you be doing it? Should you be shooting at a big honker at 42 yards?
Right.
I would say, no, just hopefully they're a little closer than that. I didn't really, for that gun, that setup, that combination, that was some of the furthest shots that we took that day with that choke and shell combination. And I wouldn't feel comfortable taking any shots further than that. Not saying I can't hit them, whatever, humble brag, you guys can drink, but I can do that. But if your gun and choke's not set up for it, it's not quite ethical. Why would you want to do that to the bird? So I got too much respect for them to do that. They're pretty awesome creatures. So
well, I'll tell you, even I went into the gun club in Minot here a couple last week, and I took 12 gauge over under that I've never shot before, just because my aunt gave me one and I'd never shot it, and I kind of wanted to see what it shot like. Then I took a 28 gauge over under, and then I took a 20 gauge semi-automatic. And I shot the shit out of that 20 gauge semi-automatic last year. So I knew exactly, I shot some good scores with that. But the other ones, they all, even just practicing the mount on a different gun, or a new gun, they all come up just a little bit different. And maybe you'll find that they start hanging up here on your clothes or whatever. Just getting that muscle memory kind of worked out a little bit, and getting, even if you're shooting trap rounds, and I'm sure everybody's kind of the same. You don't really notice shooting a 3-inch mag shell when you're shooting at ducks or geese, but when you're shooting a 2 3/4-inch shell at a clay pigeon after 100 rounds, your shoulder's sore, right? So it kind of starts preparing you even just a little bit for the recoil and stuff like that. Absolutely, go out and shoot some clays every chance you get. It's first of all, it's just really, really damn fun. And it's recoil therapy is a real thing. There's nothing that I enjoy more than going out and putting a couple hundred rounds through the shotguns. But you're right, though. I'm lucky. I know you're lucky. We and Ron, we get to hunt a lot, right? We get to travel. We get to do all this different stuff. There's a lot of people out there that hunt 15, 20 days a year. And those guys that are just pulling the gun off the shelf is a little bit different than somebody who shot, 3,000 rounds last year at birds or whatever. So get out there and shoot a little bit during the summertime. And that's exactly what August is for. We're coming right up into that season right now where you can get out there and start getting some of those shells shot.
Yep.
Well, boys, we've hit the 2-hour mark. This has been a lot of fun.
We've hit it.
Do you have any wrap ups there, Ronald?
Well, I would just like to say that.
Did you just flash the shocker, Corey? Don't do that.
Drink.
Come on, man.
Corey very well could be a relative of mine.
This is what we've learned, folks.
And if he's got a really good, easy spot where he knows I could come up and I don't have to get up really early in the morning.
We don't do that.
And say, Ron, just, hey, whenever you roll out of the sack, come out to the goose field, crane field, and I'll show you how to shoot.
If there's no suffering, it's not hunting.
Right.
That's because you're young. I suffered my whole life.
You need to be frozen, a little cold.
When I got to Michigan, Jeff Peterman said, all right, I'll meet you at 2:30 in the morning. I'm like, for what? He goes, well, we got to go to the boat launch. I'm like, for what? Well, we got to get to the spot. For what? So we can get ducks. For what? I don't know. We just have to get up at 2:30 in the morning and go hunting. I'm not doing that anymore. But
2:30 is for going to bed. It's not for getting up.
No, exactly. If Corey has a spot, I will get there.
Well, it's kind of on your way. It's kind of on your way here anyways.
Corey, I will be there before sunrise.
Okay.
But there's no reason to be there 2 hours before sunrise. Because the ducks, the cranes, they're still doing this.
It sounds like you should probably hunt late season. Late season, you can just hunt the afternoons. You're fine.
No, late afternoons, I'm going to be drinking.
Well, and see, that's the thing I've learned about waterfowlers is that they may get up really early, but them fuckers are in the bar at 10 a.m. Like, they're done at 10 a.m., and those guys are sitting there drinking.
Right. I'm not that. I just want. If Cory's got a spot for me to come, I want it easy. I want accessibility.
Trailer blind sounds pretty easy. Let's go.
All right.
Ron's going to be putting the red
Breakfast,
line behind
hot
us.
coffee.
Oh, I
yeah.
have Taffy go out. I'll have Taffy go out and get a crane.
He'll be running underneath its legs back and forth until it just
Just busy that thing out until it just tips over.
That crane will be so dizzy from her running around in a figure eight. The crane will just go like, oh.
kind of like how Ron is right now.
Right. Listen, I got to get in the house. I got to get up at 3:30 in the morning.
Go duck hunting?
No. My daughter's got an umbilical hernia from having my last grandson. I got to get her to Grand Rapids at 5:30 in the morning. So I love you guys. I would stay for another hour, and you know how we do it. But
Yeah.
Mwah, love you.
Bye, Ronald. The
Bye,
rest,
boys.
It was my pleasure, Ron.
the rest of you guys out there, we're going to end this thing. We do have, we're still going to figure out that Dogtra TNB dual giveaway that we got coming up here in a couple of weeks. I think
We've got another really big one that we can not talk about, but it's
another
really big.
one. We'll tell you guys about next Tuesday. We're going to have a
Really
guest
big.
on. It's going to be a really, really cool giveaway.
Real big.
Yeah, it's like at least like 12 inches big. But you guys go to the YouTube channel, subscribe, make sure you comment after we're done. Not over here. Not none of this stuff here. You guys actually have to go and leave some comments and on the YouTube page, right, Doug? Am I?
Yes. Give him a question to answer. We need a question for him.
Random question.
Give him a random question they got to go answer after the show.
Putting you on the spot.
Pop quiz, man.
What did Ron take a swig out of? Out of the bottle.
I
The
like
hard
it.
stuff.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate you guys joining us tonight. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share. Bring a friend next time. If you didn't do it this week, we will forgive you, but next week we will not.
Do it like Wes. Just go to a bar with a smart TV, and then everybody's going to be so interested they're all going to want to watch it on the big screen.
The bar putting out bingo cards. Everyone's hammered. The bar made $1 million. It was a good night.
Cory, we completely forgot. Do you want to plug? Like, how do people get a hold of you? Like phone number or
Social
website?
media.
As far as ordering?
Yes.
Yeah.
Social media. Follow my Instagram feed. I like to have a lot of fun, especially on the Instagram stories. I think you'll get a kick out of that. Cory Loeffler. There it is. CoryLoeffler. And then you can check out the website and YouTube pages and stuff. We're on all the social medias and the Google machine. So come on over, drccalls.com. And if you want to call me, yeah, give a holler. We'll talk. We'll bullshit. I'll probably be training dogs out back, or you'll hear puppies squealing in the background or something like that. So whatever. We'll shoot the shit.
Oh, yeah, guys. All right. See you guys next week.
All right. Have a good week, everyone.
Thanks, guys.